Hello, I'm Dr. Wendy Rowley. This is the Heartfield Series, episode 25. We're on a roll. We're just going to do the same outfit, and here we are. Because when we're on a roll and we're doing a particular series that has a subject that's very similar one to the other, we just sometimes ask Allaenea, says, just do the next one, because she's on a roll. So what I'd like to talk about a little bit today is an experience of healing with your spiritual nature. And I'm going to describe the energetic anatomy in a little different way. We've talked about the spirit body, the physical body, and the aura, the major picture you see on the web with the chakras going across horizontally front to back. And that's the main picture of the spirit body, the chakras, and the aura that you see, often enmeshed through a physical body. There is then the outer torus, which is your galactic records, making up your 26-foot wide energy field. There's also another very interesting set of energetic, I call them spirit bodies, for lack of a better word. You have this lifetime from the birth to your passing. But in your spiritual anatomy, there is a way to bring your consciousness through your auric field, and a methodology of doing that through birth. And you can heal all along what's called a first chakra timeline. And you go through the birth canal, you can heal in the womb, and you can heal your agreement, that first cell made from your parents' egg and sperm, and you can heal the moment of conception and energy from the parents and the egg and sperm and agreements to be born, physical and spiritual. You can heal the 3-day Bardo window that you come into through the wind of birth. And there's one 3-day Bardo window on the other side. The Bardo is the term often used in Oriental medicine. It's an interim space between being in a body and being out of a body, coming in and going out. It is well known. And you eventually end up in a place called the threshold. And it's literally between your last incarnation and this incarnation. And you can go up to a place called the veil. And that little consciousness ball that you have while you're in this body can then go over and down to a certain section of the last incarnation, and go over to the end of this incarnation, to the threshold between this incarnation and your next incarnation. Or if you go that way, it's to your between your threshold of your last incarnation and this incarnation. If you're keeping with me on this, it's a little heady thought if you're hearing this for the first time. So when you are doing your energy healing, if you are really sort of on the path and it's your time to really heal those Akashic records and balance that light quotient in your Akashic records, and it's something people know because the pain and the looking for her, that I called it the guidebook for the newly evolving, after meditating, brings those lower chakras, the energy comes up to be healed, and you feel pain and you feel other people's pain and you get sensitive to all that. And you're like, gosh, as I said, where's the guidebook for the newly evolving? Or how the heck did I get here? What do I do now? And you go on a journey of healing and searching and finding out different healing modalities and schools, and you begin that exploration of your spiritual nature to know yourself. And so I'm sharing, which I don't always like to do, but I'm sharing parts of my journey to explain the physical anatomy. So that's as far as you could go sort of in this now moment. But what the higher creational beings can do is open you up by degrees to what are basically 12 spirit bodies going. And it's very interesting. They sort of go back through time. They sort of go back through evolution, and they also go forward. So from what I was able to tell, if there's 12, the middle for each lifetime seems to be the 7th, and there were 5 that way, and I'm in the 7th, and if my math is right, 6 that way. Math is not my thing, but anyway, to make 12. So eventually you get opened up to all these, and then you heal through different layers, and it takes a while, and you go back and keep rehealing things and healing that timeline and all those things I said, and you get healing by degrees. And I believe these are also related to harmonics, which Allaenea spoke about in the last episode. So I believe those 12 spirit bodies are also harmonics. I believe that it's also, when people talk about the 12 chakra energy system, I believe that's related to the 12 spirit bodies. And so how I came to see the 12 spirit bodies is that they are like an interim energy, very much involved with the higher self, between the spine, and then the central column is considered your interdimensional iDNA, or your interdimensional DNA. I'll call it iDNA, that you have this central column filled with this large stream that looks a lot like a double helix, and that goes up outside to the outer torus. And some of that information is in describing the spiritual anatomy in a lot of the other episodes of the other series also. But this is particularly about the 12 spirit bodies. So I also believe that from exploring through that is the diagram for the flower of life. Because if you look at the flower of life, they show these 12 rings. And when I started doing the healing journey, I started working in sound. I went to Jonathan Goldman's sound healing intensive, very great thing, held in outside Boulder, Colorado. I think it's called Loveland. He does that, was doing it once a year. And that opened a lot of doors, and I had a lot of experiences, and came home and went, well, I can do that, and recreated some things. And then I started getting some guidance on enlivening some energetic anatomy, and I could see farther. And eventually I started to realize that we were working through those first 3 spirit bodies that I mentioned. Okay, it's a lot of information. That was kind of intense, but I wish to share that with you this day because it's a segue to what Allaenea is going to talk about. So I'm going to get out of the way and let's see what she has to say. Good day to you, dearest beings of light. Indeed, we did ask this one to speak about that experience because it is relevant to your heart field. So she is correct in much of what she said. She has worked very hard to bring in her information and to speak truth about what she speaks about, because she does not want to do this unless it is in truth. For she wants to operate at a high level because she is saying things on a public forum. And she feels great responsibility for that, for she does not actually want to do this. She has been asked by Spirit to do this work that she is doing. And so she was sort of dragged, screaming and kicking, which is a humorous analogy, into this work that she is doing now and going out into the public. So what we wish to talk about is that in the 12 spirit bodies, there is actually one united heart. You work through the 12 spirit bodies as an energetic interim that represents the spine, the chakras, the energy systems that are all with that, and the aura. And it also represents 12 replicas of that. She's right. It goes all the way back to your first incarnations on the earth, your evolution of your energetic spiritual anatomy and your physical body. She's seen things all the way into the Lemurian phase, before you had skeletons, when you weren't even in a cartilaginous structure, when you were simply beings in the air, when you were sideways and you had little whirls for hands, and you moved through fog in the Lemurian times, like many other people have brought forward that information, which is truth if you want to believe it. That's why it's coming forward so much in people's channelings now, because it is part of a picture of your historic legacy. It's your historic legacy of evolution. Historic legacy of evolution is a good way to say it. So in all those 12 spirit bodies, which are not only your evolution in a human way, but it's your higher self's evolution, which she didn't think to look at. She might go do that now. But it is also the heart evolution. And she never did realize, but she had a feeling, but she didn't exactly grasp, that all of those spirit bodies shared one heart field. But she did notice that the energetic anatomy was always attached at the heart field into something else and something else and something else. And she didn't stay and explore that because the energy was moving so fast. She had to keep moving. And that was her soul pushing that forward. So in that heart field that is shared in the 12 spirit bodies of your multidimensional quantum nature, multidimensional means you can be in many dimensions, dream space, sleep, twilight sleep, there's a lot. And you don't even know that there's actually a lot more. But also in your quantumness. Now, your quantumness is almost like having consciousness everywhere. It's not like the places you've been, but it's like having consciousness everywhere. So your consciousness is already in the future. Your consciousness is already in the past. Your consciousness is already in the galactic. Your consciousness is already in the higher self, your lifetime now, all your incarnations on the earth. Your consciousness is quantum. We say it is like a web from the soul going out to everything. And that is like the way to describe your consciousness. So in your heart field is your quantum consciousness. That is where it resides. And in that heart field and in your quantum consciousness, there is the ability through your high soul anatomy, to have access to the soul group level of tribes and nations. And that is how you get to have that greater understanding of what is going on the earth. So the readers, the healers, the channelers, the people that are connected to the angelic realm that we spoke about in the last, all those who brought in gifts of their spiritual nature that they are expressing in this lifetime as a work of soul, have a quantum attachment at the heart level into those particular 5 pathways that we spoke about for communication. Soul, the supreme being creator, the higher self, the angelic, and the higher creational being, like I am, and like many others who are here helping and providing succor and rest. And so this is an understanding in a way to explain that your hearts are one, that your heart field is part of the creative source, and it is part of your quantum consciousness nature. It is part of your high connection to the planet, to the creator, to all souls in the soul group level, out in the greater field where the benevolence of the creator is, and the creator's great plan for evolution of planetary systems, for the creator's greater heart field. We call it the supreme being heart engine, to give you a way of understanding that the heart is the source of not only healing, but the creational levels. And so now we're bringing in the idea that you have quantum consciousness with the creative source, that your consciousness is connected at the soul group level to the creative source, to the creator, to that which you call God, to the supreme being. To some say the Gaia Matra, the big kahuna, whatever you want to describe it as, that thing that over 93% of the population of the earth believes in, some greater force, some benevolent force, something that has divine intelligence that has created so much of what is before you through those 5 physical and spiritual senses. And then this one feels the greatest thing she would like to achieve in this lifetime is to look at her fellow man and feel and see that divinity. And she has found a spot about 2 feet above the head that if she says a little hello to, but stays in her own energy field, don't travel out in that consciousness and go out, because you come back with way too much information, as she was told, or she had that problem, and she's learned to stay here and give it a hello and let that hello vibrate and come back with information. Just like in physics, energy, vibration, information, wavelengths of light, wavelengths of color, wavelengths of sound. So there is that ability to commune up at that level. And so you can see that you are connected at very high levels to that soul group level and the ability to read at the soul group level, the ability to help people with their life purpose in this incarnation at the soul group level. And many healers and practitioners have brought in new connections and new pathways and new understandings for the soul group level. For that is the collective consciousness level that you are all upgrading to have a greater soul group connection into your individual higher self, Akash. This is what we wished you to know this day. You are dearly loved. Expect benevolence in all you do, and we bid you adieu. All right, I'm just going to share that the way that the channeling happens is my little consciousness ball is taken up to that high soul level, moved off a little bit to the side. Allaenea speaks through a channel up there and just comes down into the throat. For I said, no one can come below my throat, for this is the integrity of my space. And that is a training that I received. And I just wanted you to know there's an example of our consciousness as a little ball. And I've seen it in people in hospitals that I know aren't coming back because I see their consciousness is often in another place and they are happy there and their body is failing. They don't want to be back until they are taken home. So your consciousness can go in all sorts of places, but you always bring it home. You imagine there's a gold sun over your head and you call that consciousness home, and you imagine it comes through a waterfall or golden rainbow or a grid of screen, and it comes back clear into that gold sun. Or you can plug your gold sun that represents you, your energy, your consciousness, your quantum consciousness, all that you are, up to the creative source, up to the creator, supreme being through the cosmic, and ask the supreme being to enliven it and bring it into present time and make it juicy. And it's a beautiful thing. You'll see sometimes the energy goes up and it's all light and juicy, and something might go down and enliven it. And then you bring that into your, as if your physical body or your spirit body, and you bring it into your aura and you fill yourself up with yourself. Or that is self-love, when it's good to be you. All right. I don't mean to lecture or preach, but I thought you might find that fascinating. I hope so. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Heartfield series. Please like, subscribe, comment, and if you can, tell others about this series if you think you're getting anything out of it and it's making your heart sing. I hope so. Bye-bye.